What if I told you that right now, hidden away in research labs, startup garages, and even government facilities, there are inventions so advanced they could completely rewrite the rules of life as we know it? I'm not talking about sci-fi fantasies like teleportation or lightsabers. I mean real technologies that exist today in early stages. Inventions that most people have never even heard of, but that could change how we eat, travel, communicate, build, and even how we think as human beings. This is a countdown of 20 mind-blowing inventions that will change the world, and you probably didn't even know they existed. And listen, I want to hear from you. As you watch this, tell me in the comments, which invention excites you the most, and which one honestly scares you a little? Because some of these are incredible, and some might just keep you up at night. Oh, and before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and ring that bell icon. This channel is all about future-shaping tech and shocking discoveries. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. 20. Self-healing concrete. Let's start with something deceptively simple. Concrete. It's the most widely used construction material on Earth. Bridges, highways, dams, skyscrapers. It's everywhere. But here's the problem. Concrete cracks. And when it cracks, water seeps in, steel reinforcements rust, and structures collapse. Worldwide, governments spend trillions of dollars repairing crumbling infrastructure. And worse, when concrete fails suddenly, it can cause catastrophic disasters. But what if concrete could fix itself? This revolutionary material is infused with special bacteria or polymers. When a crack forms and water seeps in, the bacteria come to life, literally eating nutrients in the concrete and producing limestone that fills the crack. Within days, the structure heals itself. Some versions don't even use bacteria. They rely on microcapsules of glue-like chemicals that break open when cracks form, instantly sealing the gap. Sounds futuristic, right? But it's real. Universities in the Netherlands, the UK, and even companies in the US are already testing roads and bridges made with self-healing concrete. In fact, parts of highways in Europe are already paved with it. The benefits? Massive. Cities could save billions in maintenance costs. Bridges could last for centuries, and catastrophic collapses could be prevented. Imagine driving on roads that look brand new, even after decades of heavy use. But here's the challenge: cost. Self-healing concrete is far more expensive than traditional concrete, at least for now. Widespread adoption will depend on governments realizing that the long-term savings outweigh the upfront investment. Looking ahead to 2030, self-healing concrete could become standard in every major city. And in the distant future, we might see entire living buildings, structures that constantly repair themselves, stronger than ever. So next time you see a cracked sidewalk, just imagine, in a few years, that crack might close up on its own like magic. 19. Smart contact lenses. Now let's zoom in literally to one of the smallest, yet most game-changing inventions on this list. Smart contact lenses. We've all heard about virtual reality headsets and smart glasses, but what if you could fit that technology directly onto your eyeball? That's exactly what companies like Mojo Vision, Samsung, and Google are working on. Imagine slipping in a contact lens that turns your vision into a real-time information screen. Look at a restaurant and instantly see the menu floating in front of you. Stare at a street sign in another language and see it translated instantly. Need to check your email, track your heartbeat, or even record video. Your eyes do it all. These lenses are packed with micro-sized displays, sensors, and even tiny antennas that communicate wirelessly with your devices. Some designs even harvest energy from your eye movements to stay powered. The medical possibilities are just as huge. Smart lenses could monitor glucose levels in tears for diabetics, track blood pressure, or detect early signs of disease before symptoms appear. For people with vision impairments, lenses could enhance contrast or brightness, essentially giving them supervision. But as exciting as it sounds, there are challenges. Powering the lenses safely, preventing overheating, and ensuring comfort are major engineering hurdles. And of course, there are privacy concerns. What happens when anyone can record video just by looking at you? Still, the first prototypes already exist. In fact, In 2022, Mojo Vision demonstrated a working AR contact lens with a built-in microdisplay. And Samsung has filed patents for lenses with built-in cameras. Fast forward to 2026 or 2030, and your smartphone may no longer live in your pocket. It may live in your eyes. The line between human and machine is about to blur in a way we've never seen before. 18. Lab-grown leather. Leather has been a staple of human culture for thousands of years, from ancient armor and shoes to today's handbags, car seats, and luxury fashion. But here's the dark side. Traditional leather comes from animals, and producing it requires not only killing millions of cows, but also using massive amounts of land, water, and toxic chemicals. Instead of raising cattle, slaughtering them, and tanning hides, scientists can now grow real leather in a lab, starting with just a handful of animal cells. Using tissue engineering techniques, these cells are fed nutrients in the bioreactor until they multiply into sheets of material that look, feel, and function exactly like animal leather. And the best part? It's 100% cruelty-free. No animals harmed. No massive carbon footprint from raising cattle. No toxic waste from tanning. Companies like Modern Meadow, Bullthreads, and MycoWorks are leading the charge. MycoWorks even developed a leather-like material made not from animal cells, but from mycelium, the root structure of mushrooms. Luxury brands have already started experimenting with it. In 2021, Hermes revealed a bag made from mushroom leather, and Adidas released sneakers with lab-grown leather uppers. The benefits are huge. For fashion, a sustainable supply of luxury material without harming animals. For the planet, vastly reduced greenhouse gas emissions and less deforestation. For consumers, imagine custom leather products, made to order, grown in labs near cities, with no waiting months for cowhides. But there are challenges. Lab-grown leather is still expensive to produce. Scaling it to millions of handbags and shoes will require breakthroughs in cost efficiency. And of course, consumers may be hesitant at first. Will they accept real leather that never came from an animal? Fast forward a decade, though, and this might not even be a debate. By 2035, animal-based leather could be seen the way we see whale oil lamps today, a relic of the past. And lab-grown leather could dominate fashion, cars, and furniture. So the next time you see a luxury leather bag, don't be surprised if its origin story isn't a farm, but a petri dish. 17. Shape-shifting materials. 4D printing. We've all heard of 3D printing, machines that can print plastic, metal, or even food layer by layer. But now, scientists are working on something far more advanced. 4D printing. What's the fourth dimension? Time. Unlike ordinary 3D printed objects, 4D printed materials can change shape after they're created. Imagine printing a flat piece of material that, when exposed to heat or water, folds itself into a box, or a medical stent that expands inside the body after being inserted. Here's how it works. Engineers design materials with special polymers or fibers that react to stimuli, heat, light, humidity, even electric currents. Once triggered, the material bends, twists, or expands into a new form. The possibilities are mind-blowing. Medicine. Implants that adapt to a patient's body, reducing surgeries. Clothing. Fabrics that change insulation based on temperature, keeping you cool in summer, warm in winter. Construction. Pipes that expand or contract depending on water pressure, preventing leaks or bursts. Aerospace. Spacecraft parts that fold flat for launch, then expand once in orbit. The U.S. Army is even experimenting with shape-shifting material for uniforms that can adjust to camouflage or temperature on the fly. Of course, this tech is still in its infancy. The biggest hurdle is making these materials strong and reliable enough for everyday use. No one wants a self-folding chair that collapses the moment you sit on it. But if scientists crack the code, 4D printing could become as revolutionary as 3D printing was a decade ago. We may soon live in a world where your clothes, furniture, and even your house literally adapt themselves to you in real time. 16. Solar-powered roads. Picture this. You're driving down the highway, and instead of just being asphalt, the road beneath you is generating electricity from sun. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, it's already happening. Solar-powered roads are being tested in countries like France, China, and the US. These roads are covered with durable solar panels strong enough to withstand heavy traffic. The panels collect sunlight during the day and convert it into electricity that can power nearby homes, street lights, or even charge electric vehicles as they drive. In 2016, France unveiled a 1-kilometer stretch of solar road in Normandy. China built a 1-kilometer solar expressway in Jinan that can not only generate electricity, but also heat itself in winter to melt snow and ice. The potential is enormous. Highways could become massive solar farms. Cities could reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Electric vehicles could charge wirelessly as they move, eliminating charging stations. But there are problems. Solar roads are expensive to build and maintain. They are also less efficient than rooftop panels because roads are often shaded, dirty, or covered with cars. France's experiment, for example, produced less energy than expected, and the panels were damaged by traffic. Still, the idea is too good to abandon. Engineers are experimenting with stronger materials, self-cleaning surfaces, and integrated charging coils. Imagine a future where every road isn't just a path, but a power plant, where your daily commute not only gets you to work, but also helps power your home, your city, and your electric car. The road ahead may literally light up the world. 15. Smart tattoos. Tattoos have always been about art, identity, and culture. But what if your tattoo could also track your health, control your devices, or even replace your smartwatch? Welcome to the world of smart tattoos. Researchers at places like MIT and Harvard have been developing special electronic inks that can be tattooed onto skin, inks that contain conductive materials or biosensors. These tattoos can detect things like hydration levels, body temperature, blood oxygen, or even glucose in the skin. Imagine being diabetic. Instead of pricking your finger every day to test blood sugar, your tattoo changes color depending on your glucose level. Or imagine an athlete whose tattoo glows when they are dehydrated. And it doesn't stop there. Some smart tattoos can act like electronic circuits, turning your skin into a touchpad. Tap your tattoo, and it could control your phone, your music, or even your smart home. Companies like Chaotic Moon, backed by Microsoft, are experimenting with tech tats, temporary tattoos with microchips that can transmit health data to your doctor in real time. Meanwhile, a project called Dermal Abyss has developed biosensing ink that shifts color depending on your blood chemistry. The benefits are huge. Healthcare, real-time health monitoring without bulky devices. Military, soldiers with tattoos that track stress, fatigue, or injury. Everyday life, tattoos that act as security keys for unlocking doors or logging into computers. Of course, challenges exist. Long-term safety, accuracy, and reliability need more testing. And privacy concerns loom large. Who owns the data your tattoo is constantly transmitting? But in the future, tattoos could be more than decoration. They could be your personal health dashboard, your remote control, or even your digital passport. So the next time you see someone with a tattoo sleeve, imagine this. One day, those designs might not just look cool, they might literally save their life. 14. Transparent solar panels. Picture this. Every window in your house, every skyscraper glass panel, even your smartphone screen, all silently generating electricity from sunlight without looking any different from normal glass. That's the promise of transparent solar panels. Traditional solar panels are bulky, dark, and noticeable. They are great on rooftops but can't exactly be built into a glass office tower. Transparent solar tech changes that. Researchers at Michigan State University and companies like Ubiquitous Energy are developing panels that look like ordinary glass but contain microscopic materials that capture ultraviolet and infrared light, the parts of sunlight we can't see. Visible light still passes through, so to the human eye, it looks clear. The potential impact is staggering. Every skyscraper becomes a solar farm. Cars with solar windshield power themselves. Smartphones and laptops charge from their own screens. In 2021, Michigan State researchers estimated that transparent panels could supply 40% of U.S. energy needs if deployed widely. The challenges? Efficiency and cost. Transparent panels currently convert about 5 to 10% of sunlight into electricity, compared to 20 to 25% for traditional panels. But as the tech improves, that gap is closing fast. And let's not forget, the planet is in desperate need of renewable energy sources. Transparent solar could turn every surface into a power source without changing how our world looks. Imagine walking through a city where the glass skyscrapers aren't just impressive architecture, they're silently powering the entire city block. It's the future of energy, hiding in plain sight. 13. Biodegradable plastics from algae. Plastic is everywhere. It wraps our food, bottles our drinks, builds our cars, and fills our oceans. Every year, humanity produces over 400 million tons of plastic, and most of it ends up in landfills or floating in the sea. It can take centuries to decompose. But what if plastic could be made from nature and return harmlessly to nature after use? That's a goal of biodegradable plastics from algae. Instead of relying on petroleum, scientists grow special types of algae and extract their natural polymers to make a plastic substitute. This algae-based plastic can be molded into bottles, utensils, packaging, just like regular plastic. But here's the twist. When you toss it away, it breaks down naturally in weeks or months instead of centuries. Companies like Algix and Everware are leading the way. Algix created an algae-based foam used in shoes and surfboards. Everware in Indonesia makes edible food packaging from seaweed. Yes, packaging you can literally eat. The benefits? Tremendous. Environmental, cuts down plastic pollution and ocean waste. Economic, algae grows fast, doesn't need farmland, and can be cultivated in wastewater. Social, countries plagued by plastic waste, like Indonesia and India, could lead the shift. But there's still work to do. Algae plastics are more expensive than petroleum plastics. They're also not always as durable for long-term use. Still, as regulations tighten and consumer demand for eco-friendly products grows, algae plastics could become the new normal. Imagine buying bottled water where the bottle itself biodegrades before you've even finished your second bottle. By 2030, single-use plastic may no longer mean forever garbage. It might just mean a material that returns safely to the earth. 12. Vertical farming skyscrapers. By 2050, the world's population is expected to hit nearly 10 billion people. And here's the problem. We're running out of farmland. Traditional agriculture already uses 50% of habitable land, and climate change is making crops harder to grow. So how do we feed billions more mouths without destroying the planet? Imagine a city skyline where skyscrapers aren't just offices, but giant vertical farms. Floor after floor stacked with crops, grown under controlled conditions using hydroponics or aeroponics. Hydroponics means growing plants without soil, using nutrient-rich water. Aeroponics takes it further. Plants grow with their roots suspended in air, misted with nutrients. Both systems use 90% less water than traditional farming. And because everything happens indoors, there's no need for pesticides, no risk of drought, and no crop loss from storms. Companies like Aero Farms and Plenty are already proving the concept. Aero Farms in New Jersey grows kale and arugula in warehouses, producing yields 390 times higher per square foot than outdoor farms. Now imagine scaling that up into skyscrapers. In a city like Tokyo, New York, or Lagos, you could have a 50-story building producing fresh vegetables year-round, right next to the people who eat them. No shipping trucks, no supply chain problems. The benefits are huge. Food security. Cities can feed themselves even during crises. Sustainability. Less land, less water, less fuel. Nutrition. Fresher, healthier food, harvested the same day. Of course, vertical farms are expensive to build, and powering artificial lights for crops requires lots of energy. But as renewable energy becomes cheaper, and as urban populations grow, vertical farming could become as common as office buildings. Think about it. In the future, your salad might not come from a farm hundreds of miles away. It might come from the 20th floor of a skyscraper just down your street. 11. Holographic teleprisons. Picture this. You're sitting in your living room, and suddenly your best friend, who lives thousands of miles away, appears right in front of you. Not on a tiny screen, but life-size in full 3D, as if they are standing in the same room. That's the promise of holographic teleprisons, a technology that could make video calls feel as outdated as fax machines. So what exactly is it? Holographic teleprisons projects a realistic 3D image of someone directly into real space. No glasses, no headsets, just a full hologram right there in front of you. Companies like AIC Media and Piotil are already building holo booths where speakers, performers, or even family members can be beamed across the world in real time. In fact, back in 2021, a Canadian university used this tech to bring in guest lecturers, holograms that students could actually interact with. Benefits: business. Instead of flat video calls, imagine boardrooms where every participant appears as a full hologram, reading body language, making eye contact, and feeling like they're actually there. Entertainment. Concerts where your favorite artist performs as a hologram in multiple cities at once. It's already been tested with stars like Tupac and Whitney Houston, but future concerts could be live and global. Family and social life. This is where it gets personal. A parent working abroad could appear at the dinner table. A grandparent overseas could join a birthday party, not on a screen, but as a holographic presence in the room. Education and medicine. Professors teaching worldwide, doctors guiding surgeries remotely, and museums using holograms to bring history to life. The possibilities are endless. Of course, there are roadblocks. Cost. Holographic booths cost tens of thousands of dollars right now. Data. 3D holograms require massive bandwidth, much more than video calls. Energy use. Powerful projectors mean high electricity consumption. But these challenges are shrinking fast, just like early cell phone limitations disappeared. Within the next decade, holographic telepresence could become common, just like smartphones today. Instead of FaceTime, you'll holo time. By 2035, video calls may feel ancient, replaced by the sensation of being in the same room with anyone, anywhere. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because we've still got 10 more game-changing inventions ahead. And trust me, the biggest ones are yet to come. 10. Space elevators. What if going to space was as easy as pressing a button and riding an elevator? No rockets, no fiery launches, no billion-dollar missions, just a smooth trip straight up into the stars. It sounds like science fiction, but the space elevator is one of the most daring ideas humanity has ever imagined. And some scientists believe it could actually happen in our lifetime. The concept is bold yet simple. A giant cable anchored on Earth stretches 36,000 kilometers into space, far beyond the atmosphere. At the other end, a counterweight in orbit keeps it taut like a cosmic tightrope. Instead of rockets, electric climbers would carry cargo, or even people, up the cable, reaching orbit without a single drop of rocket fuel. NASA has studied the idea for decades, and Japan's Oboshi Corporation has even announced hopes of building one by 2050 using futuristic materials like carbon nanotubes. Stronger than steel, lighter than aluminum. Benefits: cheaper space travel. Today, launching a kilogram into orbit costs up to $10,000. With a space elevator, that cost could drop by 99%. Mass transportation, moving satellites, building space stations, and even sending materials for lunar bases or Mars colonies will become routine. Unlimited solar power. Imagine giant solar panels in orbit collecting energy 24/7, then beaming it down to Earth through the elevator. That's clean, limitless power. Tourism and exploration. Space elevators could open the door for everyday people to visit orbit, not just astronauts or billionaires. In short, it wouldn't just change how we reach space. It would transform what we can do in space. But of course, there are massive hurdles. Materials. Right now, no substance exists that can handle the stress of a cable 36,000 kilometers long. Carbon nanotubes and graphene are promising, but we can't manufacture them at that scale yet. Space debris. Micrometeorites or satellites could strike and sever the cable, causing catastrophic damage. Politics and security. Whoever builds the first space elevator will control global access to orbit. That makes it as much a geopolitical weapon as a scientific marvel. Engineering scale. Just anchoring the base in the ocean or stabilizing the counterweight in orbit would be an engineering challenge unlike anything humanity has ever attempted. Still, researchers haven't given up. Oboshi's 2050 goal might be ambitious, but if technology catches up, the first working elevator could mark the greatest transportation revolution in human history. Think about it. Trains opened continents, planes connected the globe, and rockets got us to the moon. A space elevator? That could open the solar system. From asteroid mining to Mars colonization, From space tourism to unlimited energy, this single invention could change the destiny of humanity forever. The space elevator may sound impossible today, but so did flight, electricity, and the internet once upon a time. So here's a question. When humanity finally builds it, who's the first person you'd want to ride up with? 9. Wireless electricity grids. Electricity powers everything, from your phone to entire cities. But think about how we deliver it. Miles of cables, power lines, substations, and constant maintenance. It's costly, fragile, and vulnerable to storms or attacks. Now imagine a world where electricity flows through the air. This isn't science fiction. It's called wireless power transmission, and the first breakthroughs go back to Nikola Tesla. Over 100 years ago, Tesla envisioned towers that could beam electricity across long distances without wires. His experiments were ahead of his time. But now, thanks to modern technology, his dream is becoming reality. Today, researchers in Japan, South Korea, and the US are testing systems that transmit power using microwaves and lasers. Imagine a drone flying indefinitely because it's being wirelessly charged from the ground. Or entire neighborhoods powered by energy beam from space-based solar stations. In fact, Japan's space agency JAXA has already tested beaming 1.8 kilowatts of electricity wirelessly, enough to run a small appliance. And in 2025, the US military announced successful trials of beaming solar power from space to Earth. The potential is enormous. No need for power cables in disaster zones. Remote villages getting electricity without grid infrastructure. Satellites harvesting solar power 24/7 and sending it down to Earth. Of course, there are challenges, efficiency losses, safety concerns, and high costs. But if solved, wireless electricity could transform the global energy system. Picture this. In the future, your electric car might charge while driving. Your phone could stay at 100% without ever plugging in, and the planet could run on clean energy collected in space. Tesla's vision may have been delayed, but it might finally light up the world. 8. Personal flying cars and air taxis. For over a century, humanity has dreamed of one invention above all, the flying car. From old sci-fi movies to futuristic cartoons, it's been the ultimate symbol of tomorrow. And now, believe it or not, the future is finally catching up. But flying cars don't look like the ones you imagine from movies. They are not just regular cars with wings bolted on. Today's versions are called eVTOLs, short for electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. They are more like futuristic drones or mini aircraft. They can take off vertically like a helicopter, glide through the air quietly using electric rotors, land in compact spaces like a rooftop or parking lot. Companies like Joby Aviation, Lilium, Volocopter, and Archer Aviation are at the forefront, already building prototypes and testing flights. And this isn't just theory. Dubai has announced plans to roll out air taxis in the late 2020s, and Paris is preparing to launch flying taxi services in time for the Olympic Games. Benefits. Imagine this. Instead of being stuck in traffic for 2 hours, you hop into a flying taxi and reach your destination in just 10 minutes. That's not just convenience. It's a complete rethinking of urban mobility. Some key possibilities. Zero traffic jams. Cities plagued by congestion could see a new, vertical layer of transport above the roads. Air taxis for commuters. Think Uber or Bolt, but in the sky. You call one on your phone, and it lands near you. Emergency response. Flying ambulances or disaster relief drones that can bypass blocked roads and reach victims faster. Tourism and luxury. Sky tours of cities, resorts, and landmarks, opening a whole new industry. Flying cars won't just replace regular cars. They'll add a brand new transportation system to our cities. Of course, with such bold technology, the hurdles are massive. Safety and regulation. How do you manage thousands of small flying vehicles above a city without chaos? We'd need an entire new system of air traffic control for personal flying cars. Noise pollution. Even electric rotors make sound, and no city wants skies filled with constant buzzing. Battery range. Current batteries limit most eVTOLs to short trips, about 20 to 30 minutes of flight. That's fine for city hops, but not long-distance travel. Infrastructure. Cities would need new skyport for takeoffs and landings, plus charging hubs everywhere. Despite these challenges, progress is moving fast. Analysts predict that by 2035, short-hop air taxis could be as common as Uber rides are today. Imagine entire skies filled with flying commuters, fleets of emergency response vehicles, and new businesses built around aerial mobility. It's not science fiction anymore. It's an industry being built right now. And if it works, our cities could transform forever, with traffic jam becoming a thing of the past. So here's the question. Would you ride in a flying taxi the moment it launches, or would you wait until the technology feels proven? 7. Biodegradable electronics. Every year, the world produces 50 million tons of electronic waste. Old phones, computers, TVs. Most of it ends up in landfills, leaking toxic metals into the environment. But what if our electronics could simply disappear when we're done with them? Scientists are creating circuits, chips, and even batteries made from materials that safely break down in the environment, or even inside the human body. For example, researchers at the University of Illinois built a computer chip that dissolves in water. Others are developing biodegradable batteries using silk, magnesium, and natural polymers. The uses are fascinating. Medical implants that dissolve after healing, so patients don't need risky surgeries to remove them. Environmental sensors that collect data, then vanish without leaving waste. Consumer gadgets that leave no trace when replaced. Imagine upgrading your smartphone, and instead of throwing it in a drawer, you drop it in water, where it safely dissolves into non-toxic components. The challenge, of course, is balancing durability and biodegradability. Electronics need to last while in use, but degrade on command. Engineers are experimenting with triggers like heat, light, or specific chemicals to start the breakdown process. If perfected, biodegradable electronics could solve two problems at once: e-waste and sustainability. In the future, technology won't just be smart, it will also be temporary, leaving the planet cleaner with every upgrade. 6. Mind control devices. Picture this. You think about moving your hand, and a robotic arm across the room moves instantly. Or you imagine typing a word, and it appears on your screen without touching the keyboard. This isn't fantasy anymore. Welcome to the world of brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. Companies like Neuralink, founded by Elon Musk, are already testing implants that connect your brain directly to computers. The idea is simple. Electrodes pick up signals from your neurons, interpret them, and send commands to a device. The applications are breathtaking. Medical miracles, patients with paralysis controlling wheelchairs or robotic limbs. Communication breakthroughs, people with speech loss typing with their thoughts. Everyday tech, imagine controlling your phone, smart home, or even a car just by thinking. In 2023, Neuralink successfully implanted a chip in a monkey that let it play video games with its mind. By 2025, human trials began, and early patients showed they could move cursors on screens using nothing but thought. But this tech goes beyond medicine. Imagine soldiers controlling drones with their minds, or artists creating music straight from their imagination. Of course, with great power comes huge ethical questions. Who owns the data from your brain? Could hackers one day read or manipulate thoughts? The potential is staggering, but so are the risks. Still, mind control devices could represent the biggest leap in human-computer interaction since the invention of the smartphone. In the not-so-distant future, typing may feel as outdated as sending a telegram. Instead, we'll just think it. 5. Fusion energy. For decades, scientists have promised us fusion energy, the same process that powers the sun. Unlike fossil fuels, fusion produces no carbon emissions. Unlike nuclear fission, it creates minimal radioactive waste. And best of all, it runs on abundant fuels like hydrogen. In short, fusion is a holy grail of clean energy. So what's the holdup? Well, recreating the power of the sun on Earth is tricky. You need to heat hydrogen atoms to over 100 million degrees Celsius, hotter than the core of the sun, and then contain that plasma long enough for atoms to fuse and release energy. For decades, it was considered impossible. But in recent years, breakthroughs have brought us closer than ever. In 2022, U.S. scientists achieved net energy gain from a fusion reaction for the first time, meaning more energy were produced and consumed. By 2025, startups like Commonwealth Fusion Systems and government projects like ITER are racing to build reactors that could power entire cities. If successful, fusion could provide unlimited clean energy for the world. Imagine powering entire countries without worrying about climate change, fuel shortages, or blackouts. But there's more. Fusion is incredibly safe. If something goes wrong, the reaction stops instantly. No risk of a Chernobyl-style meltdown. Of course, there are skeptics. Fusion is famous for being 30 years away. For the last 60 years. But with billions in new investment and record-breaking milestones, many experts believe the 2030s could finally see commercial fusion plants. If that happens, it won't just change energy. It will change civilization. Humanity could enter an era of abundance, powered by the same force that lights the stars. 4. Cryogenic preservation and revival. What if death wasn't the end? Imagine closing your eyes in 2025 and opening them again in the year 2200. Entire centuries gone in the blink of an eye. That's the dream of cryogenic preservation, freezing the human body at ultra-low temperatures with the hope of being revived in the future. Cryonics works by cooling a body down to minus 196 degrees Celsius, the temperature of liquid nitrogen. At that level, biological activity completely stops. No decay, no decomposition. The idea is that one day, future medicine or nanotechnology could repair damage, cure diseases, and bring the preserved body back to life. And believe it or not, this isn't just science fiction anymore. Organizations like the Alka Life Extension Foundation and the Cryonics Institute already have hundreds of people and even pets preserved, waiting for the future. Scientists have also revived individual organs, tissues, and even tiny organisms after deep freezing, proving the concept works on a small scale. Benefits. So why does this idea fascinate so many people? Medical breakthroughs. Cryogenically preserving organs could revolutionize transplants. Today, hearts and kidneys can only survive hours outside the body. With cryonics, they could last years, making organ shortages a thing of the past. A second chance at life. For some, cryonics is a bet on the future. People with incurable diseases today hope that medicine in the 2100s or 2200s might bring them back healthy again. Deep space travel. Perhaps the most sci-fi potential, freezing astronauts for centuries-long journeys to distant planets. Imagine a crew leaving Earth in 2100 and waking up near another star system hundreds of years later. Cryonics could become humanity's ultimate backup plan against death, disease, and even distance. But let's be real, the obstacles are enormous. No proof of revival yet. While we can preserve and revive small samples, no full human has ever been successfully revived. We don't even know if it's biologically possible with today's methods. Ethical dilemmas. If we can pause death, should we? Who decides who get frozen? And what happens when people from the past suddenly wake up in a very different world? 'Cause cryonics is far from affordable. Preserving one person can cost between $100,000 and $200,000, out of reach for most families. Uncertainty. Even if revival is possible, it might take hundreds of years before technology gets there. Those who sign up are taking a leap of faith. Still, history has shown that today's impossible ideas often become tomorrow's routine medicine. Heart transplants, organ cloning, even IVF were once considered insane. Cryonics might sound like a wild gamble, but if it works, it would rewrite humanity's entire relationship with life and death. We might reach a future where dying isn't permanent, just a long pause until science catches up. So here's a big question. If you had the chance, would you freeze yourself today and take your chances in the future? Or would you rather live out your life in your own time? Free, space-based solar power. Imagine solar panels floating in space, collecting sunlight 24/7 without clouds, night, or bad weather, and beaming that energy down to Earth. That's the concept of space-based solar power. Unlike ground solar farms, satellites in orbit can harvest sunlight continuously, then convert it into microwaves or lasers and transmit it to receiving stations on Earth. The benefits are enormous. Unlimited clean energy, delivered anywhere on the planet. Power for remote regions without infrastructure. A true global energy grid. This isn't just science fiction. In 2023, the California Institute of Technology successfully launched a prototype satellite that wirelessly transmitted solar energy back to Earth. Japan and China have their own programs aiming for full-scale demonstrations by the early 2030s. Critics worry about safety. After all, beaming massive amounts of energy through the atmosphere raises questions. But scientists argue it's safe, with carefully controlled beams spread out over large receiver stations. If this works, it could leapfrog even fusion in the race for sustainable energy. Entire countries could run off power stations in orbit, and humanity could finally break free from the fossil fuel age. In other words, the future power plant might not be on land, but above our heads. 2. Lab-grown organs. Every year, thousands of people die waiting for organ transplants. There just aren't enough donors. But what if we could grow replacement organs in a lab, custom-made for each patient? That's the promise of bioprinting and regenerative medicine. Scientists can now use 3D printers loaded with living cells to build tissues, and even miniature organs, called organoids. By the 2020s, researchers have already grown simple structures like ears, skin, and blood vessels. But the holy grail is complex organs, hearts, livers, kidneys. In 2019, scientists successfully 3D printed a tiny beating heart using human cells. Since then, progress has exploded. Today, companies are developing full-scale bioprinted organs that can be transplanted without fear of rejection because they are made from your own cells. The implications are staggering. No more donor wait lists. No risk of rejection or lifelong immunosuppressants. The ability to test new drugs on lab-grown organs instead of animals or humans. It could even extend human lifespan by decades, as failing organs could simply be replaced. Of course, challenges remain. Vascularization, getting blood to flow properly through a large organ, is tricky, and scaling up is hard. But experts believe that within the next 20 to 30 years, lab-grown organs could save millions of lives. Think about it. In the future, your doctor might not just prescribe medicine. They might print you a brand new heart. 1. Artificial General Intelligence, AGI. And finally, the invention that could change everything. Artificial General Intelligence. Unlike today's AI, which is narrow and specialized, think chatbots, image recognition, or recommendation systems. AGI would be an AI that can think, learn, and reason like a human. Or perhaps far beyond human. By 2026, some experts believe we'll cross the first threshold of AGI. If that happens, it could become the most powerful tool in human history. AGI scientists developing cures for cancer or designing sustainable cities. AGI engineers creating technologies we can't even imagine. AGI economists solving poverty and climate change with optimized systems. But here's the dark side. If uncontrolled, AGI could also pose existential risks. What if it acts in ways we don't expect? What if it decides human goals don't matter? Or what if bad actors weaponize it before safeguards are in place? This is why some of the brightest minds, from Stephen Hawking to Elon Musk, have warned about rushing into AGI. It may be our greatest invention, or our last. Still, the potential is undeniable. AGI could accelerate humanity into a golden age, solving problems, extending lifespans, and opening doors to space exploration. But it forces us to ask, when machines can think like us, what does it mean to be human? So there you have it, the 20 inventions that will change the world. From fusion reactors and lab-grown organs, to mind control devices and AGI, the future isn't creeping up slowly, it's rushing at us at full speed. Some of these inventions will save lives. Some will change how we live, work, and love. And some could reshape civilization itself. Now I want to hear from you. White right pointing backhand index, which invention excites you the most? White right pointing backhand index, and which one scares you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be responding to as many as I can. And if you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who loves exploring the future. So don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this countdown, and share this video with a friend who needs to see what's coming. Because the future isn't something we wait for, it's something we create together. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.